Welcome to my Days of Our Lives official channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Maggie makes not just one, but two big moves, while Stefan and Kristen join forces to get what they both want in moments Days of Our Lives. Ava gets back to the apartment where Trip greets her, doubtful of why she's moving out. He doesn't buy her reason and asks what trouble she's in, as Wendy overhears from the hall. She walks in and awkwardly asks if everything is okay. Trip says no and wants to know why Ava is moving out again. She promises she's not in trouble. She'll just be at the Brady pub with Harris. After cheering them again, she walks out with a box. After, Wendy makes tea for her and Trip admits he's upset about Ava. Commodities up. It's always one thing after the other with her. But Wendy says she's presumably safer living with partner Cortege Seal and police officer. Changing motifs, Trip asks how Wendy's first day at work went. Days Wendy in a mask, with Trip assuring her on the settee in a word? Terrible. She was a total mess, obsessed with trying to find a lead on Clyde, but there was nothing. And seeing Goldman's office just set off a fear attack. She's safe and home now, Trip says, so she can relax. But perhaps it's time to talk to a professional. Wendy can't help but suppose about whether Ava might find trouble again, like Trip said. She doesn't suppose she can deal with that presently. Wendy also admits she spoke to her pater. And he sounds more like himself than in periods. But they nearly lost another child when Wendy nearly failed, and she doesn't want to hurt them again. And she's tired of always looking over her shoulder, staying for commodity bad to be. Trip hugs her and says he's there for her, always. Over at the Demerrimance, an upbeat Stefan walks in on EJ making a drink. He's got a new parcel on life after visiting Gabby in captivity. Kristen also arrives, shocked he's not in jail. Stefano explains their deal and that EJ was just about to give him his worldly effects back. EJ reminds him. What's actually going on? Kristen asks. Days Stefan and Kristen face off incredulously against EJ in the Demera living room. Further, the Salem exit that Madden suckers EJ doesn't owe her an explanation. When Kristen says he does, since she's a Demera, EJ makes a dig about blood being thicker than water. Kristen figures that since EJ got Stefan out of captivity, he must have gotten a payday. That's when EJ says the PR department is staying for Stefan's statement of abdication from Demera and mirthfully bounces out of the room. Left alone, Stefan muses that while he can't be CEO, Kristen can. She's a pardoned felon, unlike him. He's going to help her take her place at Demera. Kristen admits she wants it bad, but what does he want in return? You help me get Gabby out of captivity. Over at the Brady pub, Harris and Ava relax with some beer after moving her in. Harris notes how impeccably they fit together and they kiss, and Harris suggests a toast to fresh starts. Not until Clyde's gone, she says. So let's get the book and get relief of him, Harris says. Days Ava leans over the cantina table towards Harris as they talk, with Harris's reverse to us. EJ enters the cantina to tell Ava she entered her letter of abdication and asks for the keys. The boy is Stefan's problem now. She doesn't have them on her and she wants to give them to Stefan herself. EJ starts poking and prodding about how Harris made a mistake in letting a Bobby killer go free for Ava of all people, which ticks off Harris. Says the man who made the deal to set him free, he asks. What's Stefan holding over your head? Teresa, meanwhile, bursts into Alex's office at Titan. Tell me it's not true. It is, their biggest advertiser pulled out of Bella, and despite her stylish sweats, the magazine's failing. It's time to pull the draw. Teresa begs him for another chance, but Alex isn't budging. He's done everything he can, but Bella is done. Teresa says she'll find an indeed bigger customer and Alex cuts her off. It's just not doable. Publishing costs further than they make. Teresa tearfully agrees, but when Alex says he'll get her another job, she tells him, "Don't bother. I quit." Why? Alex says he gave her an insolvable task with him wanting to keep the magazine going just to try to feel closer to Victor. Teresa says she was a charity hire. It's time for her to find a fresh launch nearly differently, she says, and walks out. Dazed Teresa is standing in front of Alex's office while he looks at his laptop and she has her arms thrown up in frustration. Further, the hottest new cleaner is what? Up in Constantine's bedroom, he's stupefied, speechless, not for long, after Maggie's marriage offer. But he can't accept it. He doesn't want to put her in an uncomfortable situation with her family or musketeers. That's their problem, not hers, Maggie says. Plus, marrying him is the right thing after all Victor did to make him suffer. And demonstrative Constantine says yes, and they shake on it. It's functionary. They engaged. All that's left wing is to have a word with her attorneys to figure out how to do. In the meantime, perhaps they shouldn't tell anyone differently. Constantine thanks her and she leaves. All the pieces are falling right into place for me to get what I earn, he tells himself after. But he needs that damn card. Dazed Maggie is looking at a print sorely, sitting at her office in the Kiriaki's manse downward. Maggie looks at her and Victor's marriage print. I hope I am doing the right thing. Teresa walks in, easily worried, and starts crying when Maggie asks if everything's okay. She needs to talk to her guarantor, so Maggie gently tells her to sit down. Teresa tells her about Bella and Maggie assures her she's not a failure, the magazine was doomed from the launch. Teresa insists she was just a charity hire. The only reason she got the job is because she pushed herself on Alex. You can't make a man fall in love with you, Maggie says. Alex did that on her own. Teresa aloud. Everything was coming together, but she lost everything. Maggie says this is all on Alex for putting her on a sinking boat and she's going to go talk to her fake stepson. Dazed Maggie is talking to and worried Teresa on the Kiriaki settee. Further, why Eric learning the verity is bad for Nicole. She leaves Teresa alone on the settee, only to run into an rapturous Constantine. He gloats that Maggie proposed to him, but warns Teresa to keep her mouth shut. Oh my god, I just can't believe a woman as smart as Maggie would be susceptible to fall for a con artist. He reminds her of their agreement for him to get half of Alex's half of the estate from Teresa, in addition to what he'll get from Maggie. She doesn't want to do it presently, so Constantine threatens her to stick with the agreement, or differently. She hates that he's lying to Maggie, as she's the stylish person Teresa knows. Constantine is fond of Maggie, he says, but Victor still owes him. Teresa says that formerly he gets the plutocrat, he better run. Sure, he says, but only after he avenges a great loss. Dazed Constantine is leaning over with his hand up in front of a shocked Teresa in the Kiriaki's living room back at Titan. Maggie shows up at Alex's office saying Teresa told her about Bella. She's not there to bewail, but compliment him on making the right decision. And she's going to give him another chance to make the right decision. They read the servants of Victor's heritage. She wants him to bring him back to Titan. Together, they can make it as successful as it formerly was. In the show's final moments, Harris says he'll figure out what Stefan has over EJ. EJ counters that he knows the verity about Harris' deal, so perhaps he should stay on his good side. EJ can, at the veritably least, make sure Harris loses his job. Dazed Stefan pours himself a drink the Demera living room while Kristen watches, hand on her hipsterism. Further, could Station 19 head to Netflix? And Kristen baffles at Stefan's offer. Getting Gabby out of captivity is insane. Well, he says, you are just the lowest bit insane, so I say you're overqualified for the job. If she wants to be head of the Demera conglomerate, she can do this. Do we've a deal? He offers her his hand, but she just says she'll suppose about it and asks if Gabby is innocent. Stefan is hugely certain. Well, if she didn't kill Li Shin, Kristen says, the simplest legal way to get her out is to figure out who did. One way or another, she'll find the real killer.